We had just completed our strategic planning process, and we got a lot of real good ideas, and we broke them back into where we need to start and what we do to get into the market. But we didn't have the capabilities of understanding kind of where to go in that market. We had a lot of good ideas, but which one would be the best idea, and how do we evaluate that? I ran that by our local economic development person, Laura Olson. We contacted Laura Olson, and Laura mentioned Patrick. And Patrick told us about economic gardening, and it seemed to be a real good fit because we were looking at some markets that could have a real big impact on our organization, but we just didn't have the resources to figure out which one of these directions would be best suited for us. They all looked pretty good, and probably any one of them would have worked well, but how do you get the most for your effort? And I think there were some options and there are some things in there that maybe we couldn't get to. And if we picked the right one, it would be a significant impact on us because it would be adding resources in that area, and probably substantial resources, not only with technology, but jobs. We would need some engineering support as well as some production support, but primarily from the outset, engineering to engineer some of these things. And what we needed then was not only what market, but particularly what that market wants so we could best meet the needs of that market. It's our interest not necessarily to have the best engineered product, it's more of the product that best meets those customer needs and how do we give and take to get there. Patrick got us involved, got us contacted and hooked up with Advanced Iowa. And it sounded really like this is something that's going to help us because it looked like a group that could help us figure out what's the best way we could use our resources to tap into the market. We're a small organization, entrepreneurial started, and we're just getting out of that entrepreneurial chain, entrepreneurial ownership type of a business. And now we're faced with, okay, which way do we go? And you can help us. What they were able to provide was some very good market information about something that was interesting to us, or they would help us find that. And where the value all of a sudden appeared is that they didn't know the nuances of our business. We knew that. In order to get to where we wanted to go for a target, we were working with them. It really was a team. We knew the nuances, they helped us find a direction, and putting that together, we were working with them, and we got ownership in where we're going. So it seemed like it's something a little bit new, and it seems to be working pretty well. If we want to succeed with Advanced Iowa, we have some skin in that game, and we have to get in there. And if we get in there, working with them, we can see some momentum building. As we look at these areas, this is very significant to us because some of these areas could cause significant growth or could impact us with significant growth for our company. So it's important, again, that we pick that right path. I think there's continued to be a lot of opportunities for us to work with Advanced Iowa. We're just starting to get into some of these markets and these ideas, and I think with the knowledge that Advanced Iowa has with, for example, not only LinkedIn, but they helped us tremendously in coming up with a mailing list and we had never done a mass mailing before, and we had a targeted mailing list for certain customers, and it worked. There's going to be things like that that happen into the future. Here's an example. We're talking a little bit about working on helping us define, maybe broaden our market for our control centers, and those are the buildings that are put on asphalt sites. We're a custom manufacturer, and we build to customer specifications, and boy, those specifications range from there's all kinds of state, local, federal, national guidelines and requirements that we have. So we have to work with the local engineering, professional engineering groups to understand what the requirements are and to get our units approved. Is there a broader market for those units? We understand the asphalt industry, but is there something else out there? And this is where Advanced Iowa, I think, can help us understand and get started. We know the nuances, but we just don't know in the broad picture which way or where to look and how to identify those areas. And again, working with Advanced Iowa, I think they can help us get started, and then we have some ownership in there too to help develop and identify those key places. And then once we do identify them, how do we attack that market? Where is the best area for us? What's our niche in that market? And I think that could be a lot of help too, as far as where is that market, where might be the best thing, because we're looking at adding some sales organization in the West Coast. And how do we take a look at what kind of business there would be in the West Coast? Where do we look at that? And you were very helpful in giving us some parameters that we work on to look at, here's what the potential might be in the West Coast, and here's what maybe we could have put together as a rough business plan to make that happen. When we look to the future, this is not necessarily not our playground, because we know how to do things today, but as business changes, and it's changing rapidly, Advanced Iowa helps us find that path to move us in the best direction for us, and helps us find that target customer, and helps us understand what those core competencies are that we need to develop to hit that market. I think there's a couple things here. First of all, the value is helping us identify the right target and helping us move in the right direction, find the right road to get there. And I think for organizations that are looking and understand the value of hey, let's take a look at what's our vision and how do we really move in that direction, how do we get to where we want to go, I think your organization can do a lot of excellent help in helping that organization get there. Because there's some really tough decisions that make in moving in that direction. There's no doubt some expansions, but what to expand and how to go about that is key.